This is all Pine Ice Hack. Over 92,100 people cannot stop raving about how this 15-second routine helped them get back into shape, reclaim their youth, and
career options and the pros and cons. Expand your professional networks and therefore make informed decisions and fast-track your career. Different from academic trainings, there are 3 key features of G-TAC's career-focused trainings that you can benefit from. 1. The trainings are all designed by industry insiders, along with inputs and feedbacks from hiring employers we worked with, and delivered by experienced industry experts. 2. The training contents are focused more on case studies and practical tips and tactics, not on theories. As a result, you can apply the knowledge and information in their job interviews, and quickly and successfully take on tasks when you are newly hired. 3. The trainings are short-term and low-cost, with possibility of job referrals. One-on-one career coaching is available to help you find out career path that can make the most of your experience and passion. Please visit G-TAC's website to find more details. Grow your career, G-TAC can help.
Well, everyone, ladies and gentlemen, we will get started in 5 minutes. So if you want to grab another coffee, top up on your coffee, tea, water, juice, beer, depends on where you are or whatever, just you can do so. We'll start in 5 minutes. 4 minutes now, 11 a.m. Eastern time sharp. Okay, so just bear with us and we will get started shortly. Good morning, Doris.
Good morning, Shaw. How are you?
Not too bad. I assume that you will be sharing. We will pass the control to you so you can share your screen, right? Your slides later, right?
Yes, please. Well, I will go through my slides as we go along in my presentation. Yeah. So should I share that now?
No, not yet. Not
Okay.
yet. So later on, I'm going to start with a couple minutes of introduction. Then we'll pass it to you. Then you can. Then we will give you the control. Then you can share the screen. Okay.
Yes. Very good.
Perfect. So we really look forward to this to your presentation because we're getting a lot of feedback that people are looking for. In fact, there were a few of my clients that I have advised them to come and join today's presentation and then obviously listen to your presentation about the various job application, right? Especially in the public sector as well, because that's something that you definitely have years of experience to share with people. So yes. So we're going to get started very, very shortly. Just be mindful, and then just right now it's 10:57.
Are we able to record this as well, Shaw? Can we record it and I can get a copy by chance?
Yes. Okay, please get in touch with Song.
Yes.
Okay? Yeah, I will let Song know that you want a copy of this. Yes.
Okay, so you will record it then, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah. There you go. You got your cue.
There we go.
Yeah. Yeah, we're also getting questions on other media, in other social media as well. So this platform, yes, it's people can put their questions in the Q&A or the chat box, but uh, we're also getting other media. So I will ask you questions, but maybe you don't see it here, but there are questions still coming in through other channels as well. So I just want you to know, so that other people are watching this. So there are more than the people that's watching on Zoom. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, please put your questions in the Q&A or in the chat box. We will have a Q&A session, a question and answer session after Doris's presentation. So please put your questions in the chat box. And of course, Doris is also fluently bilingual. So if you want to put your questions in French, by all means do so. And however, this is the English presentation. So for everyone out there listening, this is English presentation. However, we are able to understand the French, and we will answer. But I will let Doris decide in terms of how she wants. She could be answering both English and French, so we will let Doris decide on that, and whatever that's comfortable to her. And of course, we also have to be mindful with time. So if you want to put your question in, put it now, okay? Because we go through by the order, because a lot of times people put their question late and we are running out of time and we don't get to answer your question. So that would be kind of disappointment. So we don't want to disappoint. We want to try to answer as many questions as we can. So if you have any questions, put your question up front now. So ladies and gentlemen, it is 11 a.m. sharp Eastern time. My name is Shaw Kwan. I'm the Vice President for Global Outreach at G-TAC. Thank you for joining our webinar today. Today is Thursday, July 27th, and we are extremely honored to have Doris Haddad with us. She will be here to talk about the mastering the maze. Like, everybody's how do you find job in the public sector, and or to be successful in finding a job in it was a public sector. So Doris will actually talk about that in her presentation. But before we start with her presentation, I want everyone to check look at the screen. Our 14th National Virtual Career Expo is scheduled for September 26th and 27th. Okay, so please look at the website, G-TAC-expo.com. It is open for registration, like today's webinar, like all our weekly webinars, and this online job fair. It is absolutely free for job seekers to register and attend. Okay, so please, G-TAC-expo.com. Everyone is welcome. Whether if you're Canadian citizen, your Canadian permanent resident status, your pre-arrival, you already received your permanent residence approval, and you're making your plans to come to Canada, or your international student that you're about to, or student that's about to graduate, or international student with work permit, or convention refugees, or you're just sitting at home right now, maybe in Algeria, maybe in Morocco, maybe in Philippines, that you're thinking about come to Canada. So all this platform is available to you at absolutely zero cost. Okay, I'm not sure where you're gonna find a better deal than this. So by all means, take advantage of it, register, and you will be ready for the September 26th and 27th. For those of you that registered in the past, that you already have a profile, then that's okay. You already have a profile, then you don't need to register again. However, if you have updated resume, then I would suggest that you register again with a different email. so that the system will not say, oh, you already registered, you cannot do it. Just use a different email to register and then upload your resume so that you have more updated resume to show to the recruiters during the VCE 14. So again, thank you once again for joining us today. I'm not sure if I can do the slides here. Just give me 2 seconds here. For those of you that's joined us, okay. So for those of you that's joined us for the first time or is new to this platform, let me just, sorry, give me 2 seconds here. Today's presentation talk is about mastering the maze, a guide to successful applications in the Canadian public sector. This is a very, very interesting topic, okay? Especially for those of you that's living in Canada, in Ottawa or the National Capital Region, because I will say 50% of the jobs in this area is working with a public sector or public sector related. And to present today's presentation is Doris Haddad. She's got a master's degree in education, and she's also a master certified career coach as well, with over 30. I don't want to say this, but I have to say this, okay? Sorry, Doris. She's got over 30 years of experience as a career counselor for both the public and the private sector. And for those of you that's joined us for the first time or is new to G-TAC, G-TAC stands for Global Talent Alliance Canada. We are definitely your one-stop shop for anything and everything related to employment, whether it's private, public sector. Doesn't matter if you're situated 20,000 kilometers away, or you're right next door to us here, or you're in the East Coast in Newfoundland, or you're in the West Coast out in Victoria Island, or you're in the North in Yellowknife, etc., etc. We are definitely here. We will always have topic that's relevant, that's more relevant to your needs, especially when you're a job seeker. So all our webinars, it's all employment related. It goes where anything to do with resume writing, interview skills, how to strengthen your LinkedIn profile to make employer noticeable, how to find jobs, how to decipher jobs, how to find hidden jobs, and where the jobs are, in what sector and what region or what city or what province in Canada, as well as various training that we also provide training, career focused training, practical training in subjects such as accounting, cybersecurity, and your pathway to a healthcare professional here in Canada. And of course, we also provide one-on-one career coaching, and we are the host of Canada's largest online job fair. Definitely, since our first one in November 21st, 2016 until now, we has hosted 13 times already, and the 14 times will take place on September 26th and 27th. We work with over 400 partners from coast to coast to coast, and over 20 economic corporations, municipalities, and municipal and provincial governments across Canada. There are people asking if they can speak. No, due to the vast number of participants. Please put your questions in the chat box or in the Q&A session, please. Okay. And of course, we have to this day, since mid-2016 to this day, with this kind of live webinar, we have broadcasted over 800 live webinars, and we will want to continue to bring very, very relevant and exciting topics for you. Later on, towards the end of the webinar, we will release the poll. So it take a few seconds to complete the poll. Your poll, your feedback on the poll is extremely, extremely important to us. Okay, let us know what you like, what you don't like, what needs areas to improve, and what are the relevant subject that you want to hear. That's related to your field or your expertise. We take all those feedbacks seriously. We will go through it and we will continue. That's how we're going to use to plan for future webinar okay. So please share your feedback with us. Okay. And of course, we do provide a one-on-one career counseling sessions, a package. So if you're interested, just go to our website, type g-tac.ca/job-seekers/. Okay. Once you register, someone, either myself or someone from my team will be in touch with you, and we will right away organize an online, all these sessions. By the way, our training, our webinar, and these career coaching sessions is all done online, and we will organize this online at a time that's convenient to you. And of course, please keep an eye out for our August lineup of webinars. And of course, for the latest news, follow us on LinkedIn. Just type in Global Talent Alliance Canada and follow us. Once you follow us, you will automatically get the notification telling you exactly what are the next event, what are some of the job opening that we have. We currently have so many jobs that we're trying to fill for our employers. Some of them are qualified for sponsorship as well. Okay. And of course, a speaker. So this is a great way for you to get engaged with the Canadian employment, anything and everything related to employment here in Canada. So without further ado, now we are going to pass the control to Doris. Hey, Doris, you will get the control very shortly. And once you do, you can share your screen.
Yes, wonderful. Okay, so here I go looking for my slides. So can you see that first page, Mastering the Maze?
Yes, we can.
Okay, wonderful. Well, welcome everybody. I'm very excited to be here. I've worked for the federal government for the last 25 years, so I have quite a lot of background experience in human resources. So that's the area where, you know, we are participating, HR people, in the interviews, and we are part of the selection process to get you in to work for the government. So to begin with, if you could, in the chat box, you know, just include, for example, your name and what country you're from. I just want to get an idea if you're here in Canada for most of us or from other countries. And also maybe if you have a question, go ahead and put that in so we get a heads up on your question about applying for the public service. So as Shaw mentioned, I work as a master's in career counseling. I have that degree. And also I have a website for you to peruse, and you can look into some packages that I offer if you're interested, or I can be hired through G-TAC if you want to have a one-on-one meeting with me. So go ahead and write in the chat box quickly just your first name, what occupation are you involved in, and which country are you in, as well as if you have a question, please go ahead and write that in the chat box and I'll go through that towards the end. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to take a good tackle on what is involved in different tips and tricks to enter the Canadian public sector. The application process as well. We're going to look at how it works, resume formats and layouts, what to include and what not to include in your resume and cover letter. We're looking at the online application process as well, and the qualities and skills that are now being sought, you know, by public sector managers. Interview and selection process, as well as networking within the public service, how important that is, as well as making sure that we all have up our sleeve accomplishment statements, because it's very important to be ready to speak about how you made a difference in your past organizations that you worked for. And I'll be going through some final tips as well. So we all hear about benefits of working for the public sector, and I do agree there's so many benefits in working for the public sector. And number one, it's a job security. You know, we do find that there's not as many layoffs or job losses in the public service. So there's also wonderful, great, you know, working arrangements in order to work part-time, or if you want a job share and things like that. So I will take you through some of other benefits around your tenure to work in the public service. Now, there's a guaranteed pension as well when you're in the public service, and often it's matched by the employer. So it's nice because you're going to accumulate a nice amount of money when it comes to your retirement. A lot of our positions in the public sector are supported by unions. So you have someone to represent you if you need to ask any questions about some selection process for interviews that you've gone through, or any questions about your workplace in the federal government. Now, there is also the nice advantage that you get an increase yearly on a pay tier scale, up to maybe 5 to 7 levels of pay. So if you're hired as a project manager at the level 1, the following year on your anniversary, you would get level 2 and level 3 for the following year, and so on. So it's nice because it's a guaranteed pay increase up to 5 to 7 levels. Now, for compensation packages, there's all kinds of different advantages, but one that I find interesting is the parental leave now has been extended to up to 18 months that you can be off work when having your children. And you can also combine between the mother and the father to take off time from work if you're both working in the public service. There's all types of work sharing programs as well, a job share, for example, with another colleague in the same profession in HR. I see that a lot. You can also do flexible work time. You can start at 7 a.m. and finish at 3 p.m., for example. You could have every second Friday off if you add an hour extra a day during your work week of the 2 weeks before you get that second Friday off. There's also extended leaves. You know, vacation is quite popular, of course, and we have, you know, longer vacations, like 3 weeks minimum in the public service, and then sometimes negotiated up to 4 weeks as well. So there's quite a lot of interesting ways of working, in the sense of you could also work without pay for the summer months and work so you could stay back with your children or do other projects in the summer. And this way your pay would be from like September to June, for example, and then you would have an arrangement to be paid up to June, and then you'd have the summer offs, July and August. So there's all kinds of different leaves and work arrangements. This, of course, leads to work-life balance. So working for the public sector allows a nice, comfortable way to balance your work with your personal life as well. So I find that's a real benefit to working for the public sector. While you're in the public sector, you have opportunities to also take a year to do another assignment in your department, or maybe a secondment outside your department in another federal government department, or if you're aiming for provincial or municipal government as well. So I like that idea because it gives you an opportunity to have a variety of different work experiences while you're in the government. You try different departments, different sectors, different directorates, and you are given different opportunities to gain different technical skills as well. So a big bonus in working for the public sector. Now, diversity and inclusion is very big in the public sector. They want that the large, you know, organization of public service be inclusive of people from Canada. We are multicultural, so we want to be sure that the government is hiring people from different cultures, different global experience, and also there's the diversity of the people with disabilities. We're very open to that. So I find that there's a very nice comfort to knowing that you can come into the public sector with diversity and feel that you are included no matter from which country you are from. So promotions are also very common in the public sector. So we find ourselves having opportunities to be promoted at different levels in the public service. And also you could be promoted, at the same level that you come in as well, because there's so many different job opportunities. You also have the opportunity to take training, and every year you are given an amount of money, a couple of $1,000, to take a course that is approved by your manager in your field, or maybe if you want to take something that's transferable to your field, so that you can make a difference for the public service, to take some up-to-date type of technical skill that you need in order to better your job. Of course, we all got into this remote work over the last few years, and so government is still promoting the remote work, hybrid work, work a couple of days at the workplace and 3 days at home. So there is still that opportunity to do remote work. And you can be hired on different tenures. You can be hired casual, 3 months, 90 days in the year. You could be hired full-time, part-time, a term of 6 months and more, a term of 1 year. So there's all kinds of different opportunities as you go along, looking at the website when you start applying for the public service. So just remember, there's all types of opportunities in the public service. There's also an opportunity to know that no matter what degree you have, often they ask for, a bachelor degree of a certain field, but often they say, or years of experience. So the government doesn't focus so much that you have to have that specific degree of economics, for example. It could be in a field that's similar, such as business, or we can look at, your work experience in a field if you don't have exactly that degree. So the next slide talks about security clearance. And we often get that question, how can I work for the government given that they need a security clearance? And often it's the basic reliability clearance that is sought by the people they're going to hire. Government is in charge of putting you through a security clearance. Often it takes 3 weeks, to 6 months. It depends on which countries you've worked in and the relationship that the countries you've worked in have with Canada. And we look at the last 5 years of your life to see if there's anything that is to be worried, that the government needs to worry about in regards to your security. The clearances often happen as well through different staffing agencies. So if you want to apply through staffing agencies for work in the government, and it would be often temporary work, but at least you get your foot in the door, they will also sponsor your reliability security clearance as well. Temporary agencies such as Excel HR or Tag HR, these are the names that I see often, and they work at helping people get into the public service. Now, we need to note that the federal government prioritizes hiring Canadian citizens as well as permanent residents, but they often look at hiring people on different work permits as well. It depends on the shortage of that profession that they're trying to bring into Canada to the government. And often if we don't have enough people from that occupation, they will take open work permits as well. So not to worry about that, because I find that, we sometimes wonder if it's only permanent residents, and it's not always the case. So it's good to seek out when you're looking at the job posters if they're open to open work permits as well. Now, to navigate the job application process, it's not that bad. We worry that it's long, but it's actually very specific and to the point. So it's very important that you get onto the jobs.gc.ca website. That's how people from outside the government can apply. And you want to also streamline your job search, with different specifications. You look at different job occupations that you're interested in. You can also establish a career or job alert. So whenever any positions are posted, they come to your inbox, your email that are related to the job alert that you've created. For example, a job in accounting or finance, and you want 6 months minimum, tenure, and you're looking for bilingual job, for example. So you set up a search this way. You can also streamline your job search according to salary, location, which city in Canada you want to work for. And you want to save your search and make sure that you check it out daily by monitoring your job account and just seeing what other jobs have popped up, because it goes really quick and you want to make sure you haven't missed anything or any opportunities. Now, networking in the government or through the job application process, you want to see if sometimes, or I could say often, they will list the HR person on the job ad, and you could make an effort to actually email that person and let them know you've applied, how interested you are. It makes you stand out among your competition. And this kind of networking, I find it does impress the manager or the HR person that a candidate to be has made the effort to network to try to get into the position and talk about what you have to offer to the organization. You can also talk about how you meet the requirements of the job posting, and that's through, the way you write your resume. You need to customize your resume to every position, making sure that you indicate the requirements of the jobs that you're applying for, that you do have those technical skills and personal qualities that they are seeking, in that job ad. Often the computer is what does the first screening of your cover letter and resume. So you want to make sure keywords from the job ad are actually the same keywords in your resume and your cover letter as well. So just take your time in that regard so that the computer captures your resume in order to go through the next step of being screened with the first interview. So very important to demonstrate relevant experience, because employers are looking to find the right people for their jobs. So the next slide. So, it's good to think of your questions, write them in the questions and answers section or the chat, and then I'll take you through that in a few minutes when I'm done this short presentation. Now, I do survey often managers in the public service, and I look at job postings and I look at what's most common regarding, what is it that are the personal suitability or qualities, and technical skills as well are important. But I find more and more today, employers are hiring based on qualities such as being detailed oriented, which is a skill as well. Problem solving skills, very important no matter which occupation you're in. Analytical thinking, to show that you think things through when you're coming to work on a project, and you work with teammates as well. So team player, very important when you're working in the government, as well as client service. So very important, so that it shows that we are serving the Canadian population with the best interpersonal skills that we have in order to make a difference when serving people. Great communication skills is important, so you need to have the opportunity to speak English very well. But you do have opportunities of training to increase your English levels. But it's important to be in a situation where you communicate very well with your team players, your managers, and that includes, effective listening skills. It includes also having your team mates participate in decision making. So there's all kinds of different ways to describe what communication skills are. Now, technical skills in your profession, they're all transferable. There could be opportunities, though, where, like as an accountant, for example, you need to understand the Canadian income tax law. So you would need to take additional training for that. But what you've done in accounts receivable, accounts payable, it's very much transferable to the Canadian workplace. All occupations are transferable. So that's what you need to advertise when you're in an interview and say, my skills are transferable. Very important to say that when you're speaking to people, to show confidence that you do have skills in your occupation that are very useful in the Canadian workplace. All right. Now, we always hear people say we don't have the Canadian work experience. That's not exactly what the employer means. They mean that you haven't been put into a Canadian work environment yet. So that's why I do highlight that it's a good idea to volunteer in any area, just to show the potential Canadian employer that you've had the opportunity to work in a Canadian work environment, to see how things work in a workplace in Canada. That's really what they mean. They're not so worried about the experience, but more that you haven't been exposed to an environment. So very important to even explain if abroad you worked with Canadians or North Americans. You can say that you've been exposed to Canadian people already. And so you do understand the culture and you're very much comfortable to work in a Canadian work environment. So, it's important when you're looking at customizing your resume for each position, you want to always have a master resume, just one that maybe is a few pages long, where you're taking, cutting and pasting into the resume that you're going to use more frequently in your occupation. So remember that when you're gaining new volunteer or work experience, you want to keep adding it to your master resume as it's an evolving document. I do recommend, though, that we have a resume of 2 to 3 pages maximum. In the government, they're more open to going further than 3 pages. In the private sector, I find they like 1 to 2 pages. But government, I'm comfortable to say that we see often 2 to 3 pages. And if they want to hear more, they will just ask you to give them more information on certain experiences that you've had when they read your resume. Now, we have different resume types, and the government is most comfortable with the chronological, where you're listing the different organizations you worked for with the tasks that you were asked to do within each job. So starting from the present into the past. Functional resumes as well is very important to do when you find that you've done the same function in your career over and over again. For example, in human resources, we're staffing, or we're doing training, or we're doing compensation. So we could list by functions what has been my experience in each of these training, staffing, and compensation functions. And at the end, we would list chronologically the jobs and the places that we've worked in, which comes to the combination resume, which I find that you can be creative and have different types of formats and styles on your resume. And if that works for you as well, we could do a combination resume. But the computer screens more easily the chronological resume when it comes to working for the public service. So I would recommend to try to stick to the chronological format. And some, highlights here is that employers really spend 30 seconds or less on your resume. So good to, even I've heard of stats of 7 seconds. So there's so many different comments around how long a hiring manager will look at your resume. But don't forget, in the government, the computer screens you in first. So then the manager is ready to look more thoroughly at your resume. Now, the top 1/3 of your first page is very important. So that's where you would have things such as career summary, career highlights. You would have, some of your accomplishments and your soft skills. So just make sure when you create your resume that you have some kind of career summary or highlights at the very top that is customized to the job that you're applying to. And make sure you don't have too much white space, in your resume, because you want to use that white space, so that you can have a shorter resume. And, consistency and style and grammar, all that is so important. Make sure there's no spelling mistakes when you're writing your resume. And, in other countries, I've seen many resumes where personal information is added such as marital status, country of origin, age, year of birth. But here in Canada, we don't include that. So please make sure you don't have your picture on your resume, nor your age and all of these different statuses. Because it goes against human rights. You don't want to be discriminated against, and Canada has a big human rights policy. You don't want to have any banking information, nor your social insurance number. This is private, and you wait till you get hired before you give that information. Now, objective statement, I know that we've shied away from that in resumes. It's more, career profile or career summary. Because objective statement is really what you want. This is what I really want to do, but it's often the employer wants to know, what is it that you have to offer me? So we don't want to state I really want to work in the government and be a clerical admin person there. Instead, you say, I am a 15-year admin person with several years experience in data entry and document production, things like this. So you want to show them what you have to offer instead. So make that a career profile instead of an objective or career objective. Your interests, I find that, if you have space in your resume, why not at the end list some of your interests to show that you are a person who adheres to work-life balance. And I do find that we're not seeing so much references available upon request, but if you have that white space available, go ahead, show the employer that you're open to give references for the position, because yes, they will call your references to check on your personal suitabilities. Now, the STAR approach is an approach that we use in many ways in the government, but also private sector. It's an approach that you use in order to describe some of your tasks and accomplishments in your resume. You can use it during an interview when you're answering behavior-based questions. What did you do at a time? Tell me about a time that you developed an event. So you want to talk about the situation briefly. So that's the S in the STAR approach. I was hired to create an event for a job fair. And the action you took is, what are the actions, about explaining specifically what you did to outline the specific steps that you took in order to create that event, that job fair event, so that they can see what you have to offer, your skills when it comes to event planning. Results is, of course, the details of what was the outcome of your event, of your project. What was it in the end that was achieved? And what was the satisfaction from employers? Did you increase productivity, increase profits? Did you decrease some costs, or did you create your event in a very short time? So everything around, quality and quantity is important when it comes to creating your resume, interview, networking, and you answer with this STAR approach. It's very common and very easy to use once you get the hang of it. So like I mentioned, you use the STAR approach during the online application process. They're going to ask specifically, tell me about your experience in such and such occupation. And they're going to ask you what years did you work in that area and which organization. So they want, and then they're going to say, tell me more about your work in economics. So you want to use the STAR approach, situation, action, results. In your resume, you want to use it during an interview and during networking opportunities as well. So when you're looking at the interview, often in the government, they will have a panel of interviewers, which is okay. It gives them an opportunity to properly judge by getting 2 to 4 people together to judge you, to write the answers down of what you are answering. They take a lot of notes. They want them to do it well and properly, and they want to make sure that you meet all the requirements of position, and they will take the person who gets the most points per se. It's a very lengthy selection process, but it's a fair one. Now, when it comes to networking, it's very important to remember that even though the federal government is the largest employer here in Canada, you want to take opportunities to see how you could stand out and how you could network your way into the government. And the government has a online government electronic directory service where you can get on there and look at different departments and directorates, and you can search under occupation, and you can find some manager names there. It will give you the position title and phone number, email, and you could do some direct, networking with that individual, just to give them an opportunity to know that you are seeking work in the same field that they're hiring or that they're working in, and see if there's any opportunities, or they may refer you to a colleague that they know that has some opportunities for you. Also remember to have a LinkedIn profile, because the government HR people will also look at LinkedIn, at your profile, if they're trying to hire an area that's not very popular in the sense of occupation. It's not very much, not enough candidates, to interview. So they will look at your profile on LinkedIn, and you can also seek out yourself other government employees working in the government services, and you can see who you can network with through LinkedIn. It's a very good tool to use. And when it comes to networking, you want to ask for a referral. You want to ask anyone you talk with, do you know someone who can help me to get into the government and who would need my skills, technical and soft skills as well. So the last slide here is about accomplishment statements. I find that that's a way for you to stand out among your competition. So it's so important when you're answering, or when you're listing an accomplishment. So what, so why is it that you've established a larger project management inventory? And then you explain it's in order to streamline operations. I reduce costs by 20%. I've organized a better way for us to keep track of our projects. So always remember so what when you're writing an accomplishment statement, to make it more with quality and quantifying it. For example, percentage of improvement, a number of files completed, how many dollars were saved. Show how you added value to the organization. Show how you demonstrate initiative, that you are resourceful, and how did you contribute to the organization. This is what impresses management, HR people. Very important to think about major accomplishments you've had, 2 to 3 accomplishments, and include them in your resume at the top. And also remember that from your work experience, you want to include some volunteer. You might have also established some large data files in your personal experience at home, as long as they are related to the requirements of the position. Okay, so anyone have questions or comments? I'm ready to take that on, and maybe Shaw can help me, or should I go through the chat box and Q&A?
No, it's okay. I'll help you, Doris. Thank you very much. That was a very, very comprehensive, very, very detailed explanation, and that was amazing. Doris, actually, if you want, you can actually put your contact information there, like for
Yes.
anyone that's looking for career coaching.
Yes.
I have known Doris for many, many, many years. I know that she has coached many, many, many hundreds, if not thousands of people, newcomers in the past. So by all means, if you are interested, you can bypass G-TAC. That's absolutely not a problem. Get in touch with Doris if you're looking to book a career counseling appointment. Ladies and gentlemen, we just released the poll as well. So please take a few seconds to complete this poll. Let us know what you like, what you don't like about this webinar, and what other topics you would like to hear. Okay, so on that note, I'm going to go to the questions. Thank you, Doris, again. So there are quite a few questions. Here's number one is, this is from Carla. It says, I'm in Canada with a PGWP after 2 years of studies here. I've been applying for many positions at the government, but without answers. For most of them, we need to have a security clearance. My question is, how is the best way to start and build a career at the public sector, public service in Canada?
When I started clerical, even though I had, HR degrees and background of HR and private sector experience. Entering at a lower level, entry level, I call it, is a very good way to get in. Now, it's up to the government to do your clearance, but like I mentioned in the presentation, there are staffing agencies too who would do that for you. And network, I know you say we didn't get any answers yet, but make that additional step by networking. Try to see if there's a contact on the poster, HR, and send an email, say I made an application, I'm very qualified, I'm ready to relocate on my own. Show them that you are a person who has a lot to offer and how you stand out.
Okay. Doris, why are you connecting to audio? I'm not sure.
Oh, what does that mean?
Did you press twice?
No, I'm still on a regular microphone, but what do you mean? Do you see my picture?
No, somebody's logging in as Doris.
Oh,
You're logging in again.
oh, okay. I don't know why. That's not
Oh, okay. That's not you then. Okay, that's fine. Okay.
might be another Doris.
Well, there shouldn't be another Doris. There should be another Doris. Okay, that doesn't matter. We'll continue. Okay. Well, here's the one that says, please, do you have some tips on successful cover letter that give the potential to the applicant to be noticed?
For the cover letter, very important to show what do you have to offer. That's what employers are always saying. So what, you have this experience, I want to know what is it that you can do for me. So in the cover letter, you want to specify the highlights of what functions that they are seeking, what tasks from the job ad. You want to highlight that you have those tasks, that you know how to do those technical skills, and that you are very confident. They want to see that you're confident in doing the position. So just look at the poster, the main highlights of it. What are they seeking? What is it that you have to offer? And how do you stand out among your competition? You could be bilingual, trilingual. You could have that specific technical skill that they're seeking that not too many people have. And you could show that you're confident and open to any training as well. So to show that you're ready to do any kind of training to get yourself up to par in the position.
Okay, thank you. There's a question from Noradine, talk about what she does. She's looking for opportunity. I assume Noradine is a woman. I assume. Sorry. Looking for a job opportunity, administrative and human resources professional, 12 years experience in admin. And then Noradine left the email and contact information. Well, Noradine, that's very good. You left your email. Like, try not to leave your personal information, because we really want to make sure that there's question for ask. And also, when you do leave your personal contact information, you kind of set yourself up to other people that might send you things that might not be desirable. So be very careful in what about releasing your personal information in the public forum. Okay, Noradine, this is my suggestion. I don't know, Doris, would you agree with that?
Yes, I do agree. Yes. So, send me your questions if you like on my email directly. Yeah. That would be a good idea.
Perfect. Okay. So, what about, how can we prove the language skill required for a position? How do we know what are the language skill required for the public sector?
Oh, yes. Often they talk about different levels. C is like advanced. So I'm going to type that into the chat. So the C level is the advanced, English writing, English oral communication, as well as written. So if you see C is advanced, and then there's also then B, which is intermediate. So you will see that as well on different posters. So intermediate English or intermediate French that they're seeking, and A would be basic. So there are opportunities. It's often up to the employer to test you before they proceed with the interview. So it's a free test that they will put you through, and you will practice with a translator or a language teacher, and they will determine which level you are at before being fully screened into the position. There are opportunities in Canada to take advanced English through YMCA and other places here for newcomer agencies. So no problem for you to improve your languages, English or French.
Okay. A question for Maurizio. I'm a newcomer here in Canada. I would like to find a job in the public sector, whether in administrative or in my field. I have been a lawyer. I was a lawyer in Brazil for over 10 years. Which college course do you think would be interesting to improve my chances of being hired? And that may provide me useful tools for the daily duties. I already have a very good level in English and French. Do you think I should invest more time in improving the official languages even further, or focus on a college course?
I find, it's nice for the employer to know that you've taken a certificate, 1 year or less is fine, just to show that you've updated yourself to the Canadian teachings, in different programs. Algonquin College is a strong program here in Ottawa, but other cities as well have college programs. And there is a general office administration program less than 1 year that gives you some great tips and skills around what are the different software packages used in organizations in Canada. So yeah, I find why not take a technical course to get you up to par in admin or in your profession as well. Improving your language, it all depends personally. If you feel you want to take the time, if you think you need to, there are different opportunities through the public libraries as well to just sit in and do public relation courses, like a verbal meeting with people and speaking, with them. So why not do that as well? So yeah, and there are there's a government program called Better Jobs Ontario, which if you are qualified, they will pay for up to 1 month, up to 1 year of your certificate program. So look into Better Jobs. I'll type it into the chat box, Better Jobs Ontario, and you will see that there's opportunities there for you to get your training paid for up to 1 year maximum.
Okay. Well, I also want to make a note, because one of our great partner, community partner, YMCA, they also have staff. Capital Region also have staff that's on the call. So hello to our partners at YMCA, and they also provide various services for newcomers, employment services. So for those of you that lives in the National Capital Region in Ontario, okay, not on the Quebec side. Well, correct me if I'm wrong, guys at YMCA, but it's in Ontario, and they do have employment services available for you. Okay, so please check them out. Okay, extends to, oh, okay, thank you, Saad. Yes, it extends to Gatineau as well. Okay, good. So Marco is asking, does government use ATS for their first screening?
Yes, very much. ATS all the way. Automated tracking system for tracking the resumes to screen them. Very important. Even they did that 25 years ago. They started with a basic, screening tool. But yes, very important, because it's just such a large organization, and they need to find a way to streamline the applications.
Yeah, especially with the volume, right? The massive volume of application they receive on a daily basis, right?
Yes.
Okay. Doris, Could you please tell us about some successful interviews when candidates were invited to join the team, according to your experience? In what way, uh, which candidate will impress you? How would a candidate impress you when you interview candidates?
Yes, we look at the overall way of you communicating. So important in an interview. If you are concise, if you are to the point, because when you get to the workplace, they want you to be that way, concise, to the point, knowing how to summarize. So this is what we look at in the interview overall. How do you communicate? Positive attitude. Very, very important. And also confidence. Now, those are the soft skills we look at. But technical skills, we want to know that you can do the job and you're not, you're at the level that we're looking for, say in computer science. Sometimes we want level 1 all the way up to level 5. So we're looking at seeing if you have that knowledge. So there will be some screening tests as well. But in the interview, we look at confidence and communication and positive attitude, especially, and that you know your stuff. So know your resume well, so that when they say, oh, tell me about the time you worked in this or agency, you want to be ready to explain what you did in a STAR approach. We look at you very well to know your experience by stating it in the STAR approach. And this way it's concise and summarized. And we want to make sure that you can, relive your past experience to tell us how did you accomplishments as well, certain tasks for your manager. So everything mentioned in my talk, very important. But these are the main points of the interview that I just mentioned.
Okay. There was a question from another media saying that I have been in the pool for 2 years now. I'm still waiting. Now, does that mean that I have no chance at all?
Well, the pools, we always hope that it comes sooner than later, but they keep those pools for a long time, and and many departments come together, 4 or 5 departments to raise that pool to actually develop it. So yeah, no, don't give up, because we get surprised sometimes after 4 or 5 years where our name is called, from that pool. But try to apply to more pools, get your name in many, many pools if you can, so that you get a greater chance to get in. And try to also make contact with the person who's in charge of that pool, just to make sure, where is your name, at what number? Are you number 5 on the pool, or are you at number 25? So make some effort to find out where you are in that pool.
Okay. Would they disclose those information?
They have. I've seen it happen over the years. Just to give an impression, if you're in the top 5, top 25, just so they give the candidate an opportunity to know where they're at, so they don't, so they know where their hopes are.
Okay. But 2 years, is like some people are saying, what's the wait period? Is 2 years
It's
usual,
common.
normal?
Yeah, it's common to be on a pool for 2 years. I get a lot of candidates who say I got called out of the blue after 2 years and they forgot that they were in that pool. Yeah, it does happen. So employers across the government, before they proceed with a brand new assessment, they rather take someone who's been qualified in a pool. Some managers prefer that, and some want to start from scratch. So it all depends. But yeah, we've seen a lot of candidates come in after being in a pool for 2 to 3 years.
Okay, good. Now we have a very, very sharp listener. Okay, so you mentioned earlier about the interview. How do you distinguish? Now, if you do have, so people are getting very, very very detailed now, saying, if you're doing a candidate interview with a few candidates and they all good, based on your experience, what are the differentiating factor between the person that gets selected and the other one that was very good and they didn't get selected? Is there a differentiating factor?
sometimes, when you're totally equal with your performance on the interview and your resume is equal, they try to seek out more information from your references. How do you stand out? So then they'll look at the two candidates, they'll see the references, but they'll also see maybe there's someone who has further education. I did mention that they're not always stuck on education, the government, to hire you like they are in overseas countries. But if someone has a master's degree and they're equal, like with the performance on the interview, and the other one has a bachelor, they'll go with the higher qualification just to determine this is how they were able to choose, between the candidates. And so that and the reference checks is how they can come to a conclusion on who is the best qualified person.
Is there, this is my personal question, is there a certain degree of luck involved maybe?
Well, sometimes we impress a certain individual and other times that individual doesn't feel a fit, which in the end it's meant to be. If you don't go working for a manager who doesn't feel that you fit with him or her, it's better that you don't work for them because there'll be stress. Luck does come in the picture in the sense of timing. Some people say to me, oh my God, I got in within a month in the government. Other people say 2 years. It's all about timing, I find, more when it comes to the luck, but they do thoroughly assess your qualifications. So that to me is good because it's fair way to get into the government, but timing is where you get lucky.
Okay. So what is the probability to find a job opportunity before arriving to Canada?
Well, there are opportunities when it comes to a shortage, of a certain qualification like machine learning or for Python in computers. They will, seek out people from abroad because they can't find that person with that qualification within Canada. So yes, there are opportunities if you are offering something unique that they cannot find in Canada and they need it in their organization, then you have opportunity to be hired from outside Canada.
Okay, perfect. Hey, Sarah, I have maybe you want to type in the YMCA website so people can actually look you guys up, for if they require employment service as well. Okay, so I mean, we're partners, so there's absolutely we encourage anyone that qualify to get a service at YMCA, please do check them out. Okay, here's a question: does my location play an important role in getting a call for further process?
Not necessarily. You see, it all depends on the security, clearance of the relation, with Canada and the countries you've worked in. Some will get you in faster, but no, location doesn't matter. If you're showing that you're open to relocate on your own, sometimes they pay for relocation in the government and sometimes they don't. It depends if they're trying to hire you up north, often they'll pay the relocation because it's not many people want to go and work up north in Canada. So there's all kinds of, it depends, but don't worry, wherever you live or are located, it doesn't go against you.
Okay. Here's a question. This is very interesting. I see multiple opening jobs, which I think I qualify for all of them. Well, say two similar jobs, and I qualify from the same organization.
Yes.
Is it suggested that I could apply to them at the same time?
Oh yes, you can. You mean you're saying they're from are they from the same organization or two different?
Yes, same
The same.
organization.
Yeah, you could say I've also applied. You could say that in your cover letter, I've also applied for this position. So it shows them that you're very transparent. And at the same time, there's an opportunity for them to consider you, do one interview for the two jobs, as opposed to them doing two interviews. So yeah, it's good to indicate that. And it shows your honesty as well.
Okay. Well, my goodness, this 60-minute really goes by fast. I got one more question to ask you, then I'm gonna get you to do the closing statement. Okay, here's one more question: is once I apply to a government job, Do you have any idea when will be the lead time for them to get in contact with us?
Okay, often we're hearing, once you've applied, that takes a little bit longer, like 2 weeks, I would say minimum, for you to hear something if you've been screened in. Now, once you go through the process of interview and then you are hired, that could take a month or two. So anywhere between 2 weeks to 2 months is what I'm seeing that is common. Yeah. And I don't mind going further if you want me to stay longer for more questions, because I know that we started a little later. So that's up to you,
No,
Sean.
it's okay. So Doris, please prepare. I'll give you 30 seconds to wrap up today's presentation.
Yes. Okay. Well, everybody, I'm happy to have met you all here, and please feel free to send me an email on my email address that I've listed often. But remember that the public service has a need to hire global experience, global, like the types of work experience you have from your country, very important. It's transferable, and you have a great opportunity due to diversity and inclusion to get into the federal government. So please make focus there, and your opportunity should come true and your dream should come true.
Okay, then. Thank you very much. Now, on behalf of all our listener and everyone at G-TAC, we'll want to thank you, Doris, for your time and excellent presentation, great details, and thank you so much. We look forward to you coming back. I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of requests for you to come back to do more presentation on this. So thank you very much. And for everyone listening out there, have a nice day, have a nice evening, wherever you are. And we look forward to see you next week in our weekly webinar. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye, everyone.